feel that there's been this kind of process where the whole concept of being a refugee went from being something that was really kind of supported by small groups to being something that was institutionally supported. And so I left out all these smaller groups that had different ways of helping. And I guess now, after all this time, these smaller groups are starting to come back because there's not so much funding and because of the crisis in Southern Europe. So in Greece, there's this project that's Refugee to Refugee, which actually has a small TV report about how it works. And they have a shop there. So basically, the refugees that are taking part in this are paid in fair coin. Then they can go to a shop which sells produce that's produced by local cooperatives, and they can buy things in fair coin using the money they made from the work they do. And the work they do is a phone line, so they help other refugees who are just arriving in the country and give them kind of help on how to find a house or how to get themselves acquainted to the environment. So I've given kind of a talk about this. I'll actually share this later on, but there's a lot more about the Refugee Fund, and we'd like this to be one of the larger funds that we run, because we've seen that a lot of refugees have joined us, or a lot of migrants or people with this kind of interest in being nomadic or in wanting to get away from being nomadic as well. But they seem to be a lot of the people who join Fair Corp. So there's been a lot of focus on the refugee issues, and especially in Greece, that's been really kind of a center of activity. A lot of people are kind of working in refugee projects and came to Fair Corp from there. So, yeah, Fair Market is a cooperatively run online market, so it's a bit like, I guess, like Amazon, but much simpler. And it's 100% in fair coin, so it's using this economic disobedience to save tax. So because we're completely in fair coin, we don't have to register or be legally set up in any way, and we're able to have an online virtual market where we don't concentrate most of our efforts on having a legal protection of some kind. So it's set up completely to run in fair coin. And anyone can join. You don't have to be a member, but we created all the same. We created a legal protection, because although you can sell things online, and you're free to sell things online, a lot of people still need euros, of course. And so we kind of think people of having one foot in each economy, trying to maybe depend less on the capitalist economy, but still they have certain costs that they can pay for in alternate currencies. So we needed a way for people to make euros as well in a legal way. So that's the next part. Freedom Co-op is well, kind of a self-employment and cooperative toolkit for cooperative work. So we're trying to help small producers around the world, but mostly in Europe. So it's set up as a European cooperative, although we can also have people globally be part of it. But it was set up initially for all the producers and people who do services in Fair Corp to be able to have a way to produce invoices and be invoiced for their work in some way that was legal. So it allows for shared purchasing, so we can buy lots of things together and use it as a way to acquire things, but also to be paid for the work that we do. So this is, I think a lot of groups are starting to do this in a more kind of institutional way now. So a large cooperative, for example, there's a musicians cooperative in the UK that all the different small musicians have joined so that they can all trade as a cooperative. And so they all trade under the cooperative name, and each individual musician doesn't have to set up their own stuff independently, which takes up a lot more effort. So it's a similar idea, and also in the Catalan Municipal Cooperative, this is what we do in the Catalan Municipal Cooperative already, but only within Catalonia. So this economic European cooperative society allows you to trade all the way across Europe, and the problem is we can only trade so we can only trade, I guess, if we have a tax number. I don't know what you call it so we're registering these tax numbers, and we're dependent on local nodes in different areas to register tax numbers. Although it's already set up as a cooperative, we still need these local tax numbers so we can do a lot of these activities. So we can do online activities or virtual activities like this. So people are translators or web developers or things like that. They can already use it. But for other uses of it, we're still kind of working on getting this going. So the first places that we hope are going to be enabled for this kind of thing is Spain, Italy, and Greece, which are kind of the focus points of FairCorp in general. And I think it's what Didat was saying before, is that in Southern Europe, where it seems like societies has not really been able to meet people's needs, it seems to be the place where these things are flourishing more, because people have less trust in government or in the legal system, and so we're kind of more inclined to doing these things. So especially when Syriza fell apart in Greece, a lot of people joined FairCorp. So when people were still hoping for a government solution, they were still kind of not sure whether to join or not. But now we've had a lot of people join. Also we have the OCP, which is a open source project for a kind of a work management system. So you can create tasks and register suppliers and have supply and demand, and then you can link that with other groups. So maybe you need milk and the other one has milk, so you can create a circular economy based on all the different groups that participate. So it's like an ERP that's distributed. So it's I guess what a large company would normally use internally to distribute their goods across different spaces. We use it as an open tool that anybody can be a part of. And this is a separate thing. It was used also in Samsarika, which was a kind of a large electronics project, so that any engineer could just propose their own item and have it produced and then have it already distributed and sent without having to be part of some big thing. So we're doing the same thing that the makers and other groups have done, but we're doing it for cooperative work. So yeah, anyone can join across Europe, and you can check out the website as well. One thing that we're doing with Freedom Co-op as well is to try and get rid of the need for banks completely, because we're working now with ethical banks, but still, even if you're with an ethical bank, you usually need some kind of a state ID or some kind of documentation so that you can open an account, and this really limits a lot of people. Also, some people in Spain especially choose to be economic, what do you call it? So they choose to be in debt with the government, or to have no funds legally, so they don't open bank accounts, so that they can never be, so that no one can fine them for anything. So it's a way of being autonomous. A lot of people don't want to have bank accounts anymore. So we've created this, which is in cooperation with Better Bank. This is this cooperative bank that runs these accounts. We can now do transfers. So you still need to have a registered bank account somewhere. So a friend or someone can have a registered bank account, but you don't need to have one in order to trade. So it's the same for crowdfunding. A lot of people can't access crowdfunding because they can't open a bank account, so they have nowhere to receive the money. And with alternate currencies and with this alternate banking system, we're trying to get around those needs. So, oops, that's the same one. And then Faircoin 2 is trying to be, well, there's a problem now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has grown really, really big, so it takes a really long time to verify a transaction. So if you go on a website to buy some guns or whatever you buy with Bitcoin, then you can usually spend at least 20 minutes or even a few days waiting to see if that transaction is cleared or not. And this is a big issue for the Bitcoin crowd, because they're saying, well, we have to make it more efficient, so we have to make it faster and only be running on fast computers and this kind of thing. But we want it to be fast and scalable, because our algorithm or the way we've created it doesn't really depend on deciphering encrypted strings like Bitcoin does. It's completely just run by the consensus of the people who run it. So we don't have this kind of technological kind of weight to slow us down. We don't have to. So Faircoin 2 is actually really fast, and so we're hoping that other groups who are similar in their points of view or principles would also want to fork it and use it for other means. So it can also be used as a means to exchange with other currencies. And we're hoping that will get used, for example, in some of Barcelona's local currencies and other currencies. So one of the intents of Faircoin 2 is to be part of a network of currencies. So we don't want to be a big dominant currency. We want to be part of a lot of different currencies. And we feel that strength comes from everyone having a local currency or a social currency in some way. and all of these to be networked together so that way you don't really need the euro or dollars in between our transactions. And so there's a lot more introduction to this, but it's quite technical, so I'll just go with that. And yeah, I think that's it just now for Faircoin and Faircop. I guess yeah, I think at the moment we're thinking of this new currency as well, which is based on it's fair credit, so it's a kind of reputation-based currency, and we're still at the beginning of starting to figure out how it's going to work. And so Faircoin is really a currency that's trying to be a store of funds and also a reference currency for fair trade transactions. But we're not trying for it to be a hugely widely used currency, but more to be something that's used internally within cooperatives. Whereas fair credit is much more of a popular thing that would be used locally. So we're trying to make it a bit more kind of one-on-one with social currencies and local currencies. So I guess, I don't know, that's it really.
All right, thank you, Alex.